with Elias Makasamsonda. This given to province on the Zambia.
Good afternoon. Member of Parliament for the good people of Chembe constituency and a member of this committee. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Chair, good afternoon. I'm Rachel Mwamba-Mhongo from the Office of the Clerk.
Anybody? Nobody? Honorable Chair, would you introduce yourself?
Hello, Chair. Hello, Chair.
Minister of Justice wants to know your name, sir.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, Honorable Chair. Good afternoon, witness. My name is Lubusha Andrew. I'm Member of Parliament for Chipangali constituency and the substantive chair for the Committee on Cabinet Affairs. Thank you.
Okay. My name is Newton Smak, Member of Parliament for Lunga constituency and province, and I'm sitting in for the chairperson. Yeah. Before we proceed, I would want to confer you with immunity, extend the immunity that we enjoy as members of Parliament when we are discussing matters of national importance like we are doing now. And what it states is that when you're before a committee like this, you provide information that is factual, because this information is supposed to help us prepare a report that will go out there to Madam Speaker first of all, and then to the entire nation. So the information must be factual, otherwise you end up misleading us and mislead the entire nation. There are sanctions if you do provide information that you know is not factual. The law then can be invoked against you. On the other side, it protects you. On the other side, it can punch you. That is the same Cap 12 of the laws of Zambia. Having said that, I would give you our discussion will take 30 minutes because there are still other witnesses to come before us. Yeah, so you can start. Don't tell us what the ministry does, because we are aware your ministry has appeared before us several times, so we are very familiar with all what the ministries do. So we want to go to the substantive issues that were raised, what you were invited for to come and discuss with us. I think beginning with the adequacy of the policy on the operations of the Financial Intelligence Center. So you just give us a brief on each of the themes that were given to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and good afternoon to the substantive chair as well. And once again, we sincerely do apologize that we were not able to appear before this distinguished committee yesterday. The Minister of Justice has been requested to provide a memorandum on the operations of the Financial Institute Center to the Committee on Cabinet Affairs. Chair, there were 5 specific areas which we were requested to cover in this memorandum, and in the interest of time, as you have guided, we will go straight to our response, Chair. The Minister of Justice, sir, is pleased to report to the Committee on Cabinet Affairs as follows. Sir, we will preface our response with a fact which this committee is also aware of, and which is that according to Gazette Notice number 1123 of 2021, the Financial Institute Center falls under the Ministry of Finance and National Planning. And therefore, Chair, we will give a general overview on the first point, Chair. We will respond to it because that falls squarely under our mandate. But for the 4, our responses, Chair, will be based on the discussions that we have had and the consultations with the FIC. The adequacy of the FIC's legal and policy framework in line with international anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing standards. The FIC is established under Section 3 of the Financial Intelligence Center Act, Chapter 384 of the laws of Zambia. The Financial Intelligence Center Act has domesticated the requirements and standards set by the Financial Action Task Force, the FATF. This is an independent intergovernmental body which mandates all member states to have this law. It also develops and promotes policies to protect the global financial system against money laundering, terrorist financing, and the financing of proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. The findings of the mutual evaluation on the Zambian anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing measures that was conducted in 2018 are that the operations of the FIC were fully compliant with Recommendation 29 of the FATF International Standards on Combating Money Laundering and Financing of Terrorism and Proliferation, the FATF International Standards. Non-compliance with the recommendations under the FATF International Standards may lead the country to be blacklisted and face economic financial sanctions from the international community. Hence the importance of ensuring that we comply with the FATF International Standards. It is important to state, Chairperson, that there are other pieces of legislation in addition to the Financial Intelligence Center Act that FIC applies in its operations, which include the following. The Prohibition and Prevention of Money Laundering Act, Chapter 99 of the laws of Zambia, the Anti-Terrorism and Non-Proliferation Act, Chapter 128 of the laws of Zambia, the Mutual Legal Assistance in Criminal Matters Act, Chapter 98 of the laws of Zambia, and the Public Interest Disclosure, Protection of Whistleblowers Act, Chapter 102 of the laws of Zambia. Chairperson, the aforementioned supporting legislation have also ensured compliance with FATF international standards and other international anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing standards. Therefore, the legal and policy framework that FIC uses in its operations are compliant with UN conventions, FATF international standards, as well as other international anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing standards. The second one, the extent of interagency coordination and stakeholder collaboration with law enforcement agencies, regulators, and financial institutions. Chair, the FIC serves as the central hub for the receipt, analysis, and dissemination of financial intelligence information, forming a critical link between reporting entities and investigative authorities. Collaboration with reporting entities and investigative authorities is anchored on a robust legal framework, agency mandates, and formal memoranda of understanding, which have been signed with several authorities. FIC plays a significant role within national coordination platforms such as the Interagency National Task Force on Asset Recovery, the Anti-Money Laundering Authority, the National Task Force of Senior Officials, and the National Anti-Terrorism Committee. Through these structures, the FIC shares intelligence information, provides strategic insights on money laundering and terrorist financing risks, and supports the identification, tracing, restraint, and potential forfeiture of proceeds of crime. Further, the operational analyses carried out by FIC assist law enforcement agencies such as the Anti-Corruption Commission, the Drug Enforcement Commission, Zambia Police Service, and Zambia Revenue Authority to uncover networks involving corruption, tax crimes, procurement fraud, money laundering, terrorist financing, and other financial crimes. Collaboration with LEAs extend to continuous information exchange, joint trainings, joint operations, case conferences through the interagency framework, and both formal and informal meetings which enable feedback and the resolution of practical investigative challenges. FIC also facilitates international cooperation. FIC also facilitates international cooperation through membership to the Egmont Group, providing foreign intelligence information to domestic investigations with cross-border elements. The Egmont Group of Financial Intelligence Units is an international organization that facilitates cooperation and intelligence sharing between national financial intelligence units to investigate and prevent money laundering and terrorist financing. With regard to financial institutions and other reporting entities, FIC supports risk understanding through guidance, engagement, and feedback on suspicious transaction reporting trends. Overall, FIC's multi-layered coordination framework significantly enhances national efforts in detecting, investigating, and disrupting illicit financial flows, money laundering, and terrorist financing, among others. The effectiveness of FIC in detecting, analyzing, and reporting financial crimes, including money laundering, terrorist financing, and illicit financial flows. FIC has over the years demonstrated strong effectiveness in detecting, analyzing, and reporting financial crimes, including money laundering, terrorist financing, and illicit. FIC serves as an initiative for receiving suspicious transactions, wire transfer reports, and disclosures. FIC's mandate extends to a broad range of financial, administrative, and law enforcement information, which allows FIC to conduct comprehensive and timely operational and strategic analysis of the aforementioned reports and use the findings in preventing money laundering, terrorist financing, and illicit financial flows. Operationally, the FIC has built the capacity to identify, among others, complex money laundering and terrorist financing networks by integrating disclosure entities with additional information from LEAs. FIC's analytical products, ranging from spontaneous disseminations to detailed intelligence reports, are routinely provided to LEAs in order to initiate or support investigations. In addition, FIC's strategic analysis, including annual trends and typologies reports, enhances national understanding of emerging risks such as corruption, procurement fraud, tax crimes, terrorism financing, and illicit financial flows, among others. FIC's effectiveness is further strengthened by secure information communication technology systems, confidentiality procedures, and legally backed independence that shields it from interference. In addition, FIC's involvement in international information exchange has significantly contributed to timely access to foreign intelligence relevant to transnational financial crimes. Premised on the foregoing, FIC functions effectively as a credible and independent agency that contributes meaningfully to the detection, disruption, and reporting of money laundering, terrorist financing, and illicit financial flows. Chair, regarding the FIC's falls under the Ministry of Finance and National Planning, we submit, Chair, that FIC and the Ministry of Finance and National Planning would be better placed to address in detail the aspect relating to the challenges that affect the effectiveness of FIC's operations. At this juncture, Chair, we would go into the recommendations on the way forward. In order to enhance the operations and effectiveness of FIC, and following discussions with the FIC, the following recommendations are made. First, it has been noted that poor conversion of intelligence information into money laundering prosecutions is usually as a result of weak follow-up mechanisms. Therefore, joint review teams should be set up comprising of the following: ACC, DEC, Zambia Police Service, and National Prosecution Authority. Further, there must be deliberate intentions to build capacity for prosecutors and investigators through joint training programs on the following: forensic accounting, evidential threshold for money laundering prosecutions, virtual asset and digital currency abuse for money laundering and terrorist financing, and beneficial ownership tracing. If the above recommendations were carried out, that would accelerate intelligence analysis and ensure that suspicious patterns are detected in a timely manner. And finally, Chair, by adopting the above recommendations, FIC would be better positioned to fulfill its mandate as set out under the Financial Intelligence Center Act, comply with FATF international standards, and effectively protect Zambia's financial system from illicit financial flows. I submit, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Thank you, members. Any interventions from members? Yes, Honorable.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Minister of Justice, for your elaborate presentation. Now, from your presentation, you haven't noted any gap in terms of the legal framework. However, various witnesses have indicated gaps in the legal regulatory framework, and obviously this committee will highlight the same gaps in its report. Now, as a ministry, are you willing to take on board the review of the identified gaps as brought forward by various witnesses who appeared before us? I'll cite an example of those gaps, like particularly to do with the identity of beneficial ownership of corporate entities. Those are some of the gaps, and there are many gaps. So are you willing to take on board these gaps, realizing that you haven't told us any gap from your end? Thank you, Chair.
Any other? Before anyone comes in, PS, are you a member of the coordinating team? Yes or no? It's a simple question. I want to know so that we can move that direction. Are you a member of the coordination team?
Thank you. Question, could I respond?
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, PS, and thank you, Chair. With regard to whether or not we are part of the interagency coordination team, there is a role that the Ministry of Justice does play in that particular setup. Thank you, Chair.
Are you a member or not?
Chair, I know you want a specific answer.
Yes.
So I deliberately picked the angle of the institutional representation. So as Minister of Justice, yes, we are a member.
Yes, that was the question.
Yes.
Okay, you have answered. Okay, colleagues, yes.
Oh, thank you. It's good that you asked that question, and I just want to add to your question. If they are members, they failed to show us here the gaps, because all their witnesses who are members, they've raised concerns and the gaps to this committee. So I'm wondering if the Ministry of Justice, which is supposed to be, in fact, number one, to notice the gaps, cannot give us the gaps, and yet they are members. So does it mean that the Ministry of Justice is comfortable with the delays in accessing the information or getting reports from FIC, since it's done manually? And I would like also to find out if the Ministry of Justice is okay with the current mode of dissemination of information by FIC. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, maybe before you answer, at what level are you represented at Interagency Coordination Committee? Who represents you at what level?
Thank you, Chair. The Attorney General is the one who usually participates in those meetings. I hope I've answered your question.
Okay.
Chair, allow me to ask a follow-up question.
Yeah.
If the Attorney General is the representative, and we've been talking about having high-profile, I would call persons to be the representatives, I've raised questions, Chair, with the other witnesses when they were talking about having a common platform where everyone can be in that platform. Now, if the Attorney General is the representative of the Ministry of Justice, and at the same time he cannot identify the gaps, then we have a challenge. So I'd like to find out a dissemination of information from the to Justice. Thank you, Chair.
Was he part of this? Did the Attorney General had an input in this document?
Chair, maybe before I respond to this question, if you'll allow, sir, just to make mention on the issue of the gaps. Chair, the ministry, when we look at the responsibility of the ministry in the legal and policy framework, Chair, as you may be aware, the ministry we operate on a demand-driven basis when it comes to laws, when it comes to bills, when it comes to SIs. And so, Chair, while we are a member of the committee, we do also since we are not the implementing institution when it comes to FIC. The gaps, Chair, for example, the gap that was cited by the distinguished member, those would be the ones which would have to be identified by the institution who is responsible for FIC, as well as the center itself. And of course, Chair, when need arises, we would be able to, if need be, to look into the issue of reviewing some of the aspects that would be identified as indicated by the distinguished members of some of the gaps that would look at strengthening the legal framework in the issue of the FIC. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Has the first question been okay? I think that's what she has tackled. Any other? Do you have a follow-up?
Thank you, witness. When these gaps, as much as you have your role as Minister of Justice, what you need to understand is that one of the attributes of the law is that it is supposed to be clear and very precise. And when you see these gaps in terms of the legal framework, it's just prudent that as Minister of Justice, you take up the mantle and make sure that these gaps are sealed, because unlike just leaving it, unless, and this is your key, baby, Minister of Justice. Chair, I just wanted to put that comment, unlike
Okay.
to say we'll wait for them and all those things. Some of these things, you are the people who read the law every time and every minute. So where you see there is this, you just have to come in and help. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Yeah. It looks like members don't have any more questions. I want to think that we, unless you have something to say.
Chair, just to mention that we have taken note of the guidance by the Honourable Member, and we will work with the other members. We will work with FIC, we will work with Ministry of Finance and the LEAs as well to see how best we can, as a team, address whichever gaps may be identified. But just to emphasize that, again, while ours is not to sit back, we do, Chair, in accordance with the law, the Ministry of Justice works based on instructions from the clients, but we obviously do give guidance where we see that a certain piece of legislation may be in contradiction with another piece. But otherwise, in general, sir, we work on the basis of instructions from our clients. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think we have come to the end of our conversation, and I wish to remove the immunity that was given to you. We hope to see you again when time allows or when chance allows. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for your time, sir. Thank you.
I have. I've removed the immunity. You heard me, isn't it? Yes. But you are just coming in and... Oh, come on. Okay. You can as well take it if I didn't say it.
Chair, we did, and we are grateful that you
Thank
have
you.
lifted. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Can, but just before.
Good afternoon. You're tuned into Parliament Television. There you have it. That's the Ministry of Justice making an appearance before the Committee on Cabinet Affairs, and that was led by the Permanent Secretary, that's Ms. Isabel Lemba. And the committee is reviewing the operations of the Financial Intelligence Center, and the committee is being chaired by Mr. Samakai, who is sitting in for the substantive chair, that's Mr. Andrew Lubosha. And so 2 more witnesses are yet to appear before the Committee on Cabinet Affairs. That's the CTPD, that's the Center for Trade Policy in Development. We also expect the Zambia Institute for Policy Analysis and Research to make an appearance before the Committee on Cabinet Affairs. Just about now, we're standing by for the CTPD, that's the Center for Trade Policy in Development. They will be making an appearance before the Committee on Cabinet Affairs as they review the operations of the Financial Intelligence Center. Do stay tuned right here on Parliament Television. The 5th session of the 13th National Assembly, which adjourned Sunday, 18th December 2025, will resume on Tuesday, 3rd February 2026.